Yeah, yeah, I know. I usually don't upload two Sonic reviews at the same time, but this has been a long time coming. So can you believe that it's been over 2 years since I uploaded my first ever review, the video that was first kickstarted or the Retrospective series into what it is today? Looking back on it now,
Honestly, I have no complaints from modern Sonic. His stages are a ton of fun, and to be honest, I prefer his stages over classic Sonic stages.
I feel like I could have done it better. Remember when I used to use live action segments for my reviews? Back then I didn't really have a good setup. I was using my phone for my voiceovers, the KaiMaster watermark was really distracting, and even when I was recording my live action segments, I didn't even bother to turn off the TV so you can just hear it in the background. Now I'll make sure that there's no background noises whenever I record. I found out I got a computer in late 2019, and I was able to upgrade to Premiere Pro now. Well, it tends to act up every now and then. Premiere Pro has made it so much better to edit videos. Sure, my laptop isn't too powerful, but at least it's something. I mean, I have been thinking about getting a new laptop at some point, so yeah. Looking at my reviews up to this Sonic Unleashed review, I want to say, quality was pretty terrible. I didn't really go as in depth as I feel like I should have. In some of the reviews, there was even some editing errors and I just left the video up. Now I usually watch my videos in before time to make sure that there's no mistakes with editing and audio. I mean, I appreciate all of you who commented on the video all those years back. I really wish more of you guys would give me more feedback because I really did a piss poor job. Only one of you guys actually did, because I'm so glad that you decided to take the time to watch this shit show review and give me your feedback, because this was really rough. And after this review, I wouldn't say there was a drastic change in quality, but it was pretty noticeable. So 2 years later, here we are. I started planning on revisiting some games that I feel like I should have done a better job on giving the credit they deserve. And it doesn't mean the old ones are going to be deleted. I'm just going to be recreating them with better editing, better sound, smooth 60 FPS, and a version of me that actually emotes this time. So let's start this revisit to older reviews, starting with Sonic Generations. So the year was 2011, it was Sonic's 20th anniversary, and by that time, Sonic 06 came and went, and it was bashed. Sonic Unleashed came out 2 years later, and while the Warhog wasn't appreciated, they got Sonic's new gameplay down, and while it wasn't perfect, it was extremely exhilarating though. Sonic Colors came around 2 years later, and it basically refined and boosted gameplay, but people weren't satisfied with being more 2D and 3D. Then Sonic's 30th anniversary came around, and Sonic Generations was announced. Anniversary titles for Sonic at least are usually hit or miss. In 1996, there were no games to celebrate his 5th anniversary, but that didn't stop Sega from making this creepy-ass commercial with Sonic dancing. Okay, I say that there were no games in that year, but that's not entirely true. Meta games like Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic R, and Sonic the Fighters, while I personally like Fighters, they weren't intended on celebrating Sonic's 5th anniversary. In 2001, Sonic Adventure 2 was released to celebrate Sonic's 10th birthday, and while the majority of Sonic fans liked it, me not so much. I could go into depth, but I'd rather not have the Adventure fans on my ass for this. In 2006, that was his 15th-year anniversary, and we all know the story at this point. Sonic 06 was released, Sega had a brain relapse and thought it was a good idea to rush the game for a holiday 2006 release. Sonic Genesis came out, and it was just as bad, but at least we got Sonic Riders out of that. Even now, Sega hasn't really got anniversary games down. Sonic Force was bashed to death in the community, and then they get salty whenever someone tries to find something positive to say about the game, instead of following everyone else and just bashing the game, but I digress. I mean, and also we got Sonic Mania, so one win for everyone. Alright, Generations was announced, and they had all of these CG trailers and some comics with it, so needless to say, fans were pretty hyped and couldn't wait until the days and Generations came out. I remember when I first saw this game's reveal trailer, I was thinking, was this Sonic Unleashed 2? I haven't played Colors at that point, and at that time I've always saw this game as a sequel to Unleashed, but not as good looking. Everyone was getting pretty excited when they announced that they were bringing back Classic Sonic. I remember seeing the trailers for this and I was thinking, oh, this is Sonic's little brother? And they were getting Tails one too, when in fact, it was just their younger counterparts. I remember first playing this game at a friend's house. I saw the shadow boss fight, I thought it looked really beautiful, and I just wanted to play the game so bad. I was really interested playing what my friends would play when I was younger, which is actually what got me into Mario. Alright, I think I've done enough talking about this game's trailers and everything, but I think it's time we get to the story. So we started the game out and you're just kind of thrown into the first level, which was pretty weird for me since up to this point I was kind of used to Sonic games having an opening cutscene of some sorts, not even some kind of CG opening like the trailers or anything. I mean, you do to get this pretty sweet intro if you believe the title's been on long enough, but that's pretty much it. Classic Sonic is taking a trip through Green Hill Zone, but then he feels an earthquake beneath him, but he just shrugs it off for some reason. The creature pops out and then does something. You don't really see what it is. Fast forwarding to the present, we see Sonic's friends throwing him a surprise party. Although there aren't any number of candles to indicate how old Sonic is, it's just a Sonic Team logo on it. Really? Are you telling me that's not even Sonic's friends know how old he is, Sega? Like, if he was turning 20, that would make more sense, just putting the Sonic Team logo on it. If he was turning 16, that still wouldn't make more sense, but maybe I'm reading too much into it. Sonic's party is short-lived when an evil monster who casts Sonic Encounter interrupts Sonic's birthday by sucking in all of Sonic's friends into a time portal one by one. Sonic tries to stop the monster, but decides that he doesn't feel like eating hedgehogs, so he just knocks him unconscious and sucks the rest of his friends up. Sonic wakes up in a white void, confused about what happened. He runs through Green Hill Zone and rescues Tails. He then tells Sonic that he should go through all the remaining levels to restore the light and rescue all their other friends. Sonic then confronts his classic iteration, but then he goes off to face the Death Egg robot from Sonic 2, which would have been nice to see again if Sonic 4 didn't already do that already. The other creature then kidnaps Eggman from the robot. Modern Sonic, Tails, and Classic Sonic, and for some reason Classic Tails, meet up and find out that they're traveling throughout time and space. From here on out, they decide to go through all the other levels and rescue the rest of their friends. Modern Sonic then confronts Eggman and the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed. After defeating him, the creature kidnaps Eggman once again. Confused about what's happening, the game decides to confront the monster to know what the hell's going on. It's revealed that the creature's name is a Time Eater. Eggman teams up with his classic self to undo his past defeats, but causes a rift in the space-time continuum. The Sonic start to attack the Time Eater but are knocked out by it. With the motivation from his friends and the power of the Chaos Emeralds, the Sonics are revived and transformed into Super Sonic and then take on the Time Eater. After doing so, Sonic and friends are transported back to his birthday party before he got his shit wrecked. Classic Sonic and Classic Tails go back to their timeline, which modern Sonic says that his future will be great. And I would make a joke about that, but everyone else has already beaten me to it, so I'll just let this clip from Radical Soda's review do it for me.
And then Classic Sonic and Tails go back to their own timeline, with modern Sonic assuring Classic Sonic that his future is gonna be great! You know, apart from the electrocution, Werehog, destruction of the city, the almost apocalypse, the apocalypse, getting blown up, being sucked into a black hole, and this.
Then the game ends with the Eggmans being trapped inside of the void in the space-time continuum. So that's the story. To be honest, it's not really that well written. After we beat the first boss, the story is just kind of non-existent for a while. After Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant, Sonic and Tails kind of reflect on the levels, and in my opinion, they should have just done that at the end of every level, but they didn't. It was a huge opportunity making fun of past elements, but it's just save your friends and finish all the levels. Then there's the silver boss fight and Blaze's appearance. So yeah, Sonic 06 never happened, and even if it did, this fight didn't. Silver and Sonic never really fought in Crisis City. I mean, at least it's way better than it was in 06, but the continuity problem is just really distracting. Then there's Blaze's appearance, and Sonic Rush is established after Blaze from another dimension, so how would she be able to get the invite from Sonic's birthday? Did Tails just make an invention that goes through dimensions? Or did Sonic Avengers know Rick Sanchez and just got him to send the invite for her? Although there is the fact that when the two Sonics are knocked out, Sonic's friends just kind of stand there and just tell him to get up and not help him out. Something that's also felt like a missed opportunity is why they only have Sonic and Tails in their classic selves. It would be pretty cool to see other characters like Knuckles and Amy interact with their classic selves. And also, wouldn't it be cool to see a HD render of Dreamcast Sonic? I mean, the story does have its pretty funny moments, like when Tails comments about how the purple water in Chemical Plant makes him nervous, or how Classic Eggman said that nobody calls him Robotnik anymore. Ironically, in Japan, he's been called Eggman in there for the longest time. Robotnik is what he was called in North America until Adventure 2 for some reason. So yeah, I don't play Sonic games for story, but while I used to love the story, I can't help but feel like they just wanted the story just for a story. Even though the story's pretty lacking, the gameplay more than makes up for it. There's 9 levels in this game, and they're separated into 2 acts. Act 1 is for Classic Sonic being a 2D side-scroller, just like Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD. Act 2 is for modern Sonic, controlling exactly like he did in Unleashing Colors. Let's start off with Classic Sonic. Now, Classic Sonic is pretty much almost like a classic level. You can jump, roll into a ball, use a spin dash, which is honestly really overpowered in this game. Like, I'm not joking, if you're good enough, you can do some major speedrun tactics just by using the spin dash alone. The great thing about it is that you don't even have to use the analog stick to perform the spin dash anymore. Assuming that you're playing the PS3 version, you just press the square button and he instantly does a spin dash. Although Classic Sonic's gameplay isn't perfect and it does come with its flaws. First off, Classic Sonic's jumps feels really floaty compared to the other games, and when you compare them side to side, you can tell that all the momentum that he had in the classic games are completely gone. It's not like it's that big of a deal, and it doesn't really hinder the experience for me. It just feels weird jumping with Classic Sonic. Also, there's one thing that Classic Sonic can do in the older games, but not here. So you know how when you roll down a slope, when you're running, you would start gaining speed? Well, he can do that here, but instead of gaining speed, he loses it. Why? Like, that's a pretty weird thing to omit. Classic Sonic also has power-ups that can use, like invincibility, shields, a skateboard, and the elemental shields from Sonic 3 makes a return here. And considering that Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my favorite classic Sonic game, that's just a bonus for me. Unfortunately, you can't find them in monitors like the other power-ups. You can only equip them at the skill shop. You have them once when you start the level, and you lose it when you die, which is pretty confusing to me, because why have everything else in monitors but not the elemental shields? But overall, my complaints are pretty minor when it comes to classic Sonic's gameplay. He controls pretty well and he's pretty fun to play with, but when I'm ever coming back to this game, I'm not always playing as classic Sonic. The levels are designed very well, but for me, modern Sonic's where it's at. Speaking of which, modern Sonic controls pretty much like he did in Unleashing Colors, and he doesn't need to find any new abilities like in Unleash. He can wall jump and stomp, and from the start, he can drift and boost, and the homing attack goes back on the X button again. But since I was used to playing Unleash a lot at that point, my brain keeps on telling me to press square and not X. The main goal of Modern Sonic stage is either to get to the goal ring as fast as you can and take different pathways to get to the goal faster, or find hidden rings, lives, and red rings, which I'll get to later. I also love how some of the different pathways you can take, like in Chemical Plant Act 2, you see these rows and you just assume that they're in the background, they're actually another pathway you can take. In Seaside Hill, there's this one pathway right here, which I never even noticed until I saw this video on Twitter. When talking about the controls, the Modern Sonic controls so much smoother than he did in Unleash. It's not as slippery as he was in that game, and with the fact that Sonic's mid-air boost is mapped to the same button as the homing attack, which won't lead you flying all the way to Africa when you try to homing attack, his stages are so much more fun. Now when talking about speed, Unleash is still the fastest game in the series in my opinion, but this game is still pretty fast though. Returning from Sonic Colors are the red rings, the analog concept art, and music from other games that you can play in the background. Now this game isn't called Sonic Generations just because they're having both modern and classic Sonic in the same game. A lot of levels are taken from the past, and it's really good to see some of these levels, with the exception of Green Hill Zone, have a modern makeover. For the classic era, we have Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1, Chemical Plant from Sonic 2, and Sky Sanctuary from Sonic 3. And for the Dreamcast era, we have Speed Highway from Sonic Adventure, City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2, and Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes, even though Heroes was a GameCube title, but whatever. And finally, for the modern era, we have Crescent City from Sonic 06, Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed, and Planet Wisp from Sonic Colors. While levels in this game aren't exactly original, the level layouts are. For example, in modern City Escape, the truck has chainsaws chasing you, and in classic version, the truck is chasing you throughout the entire level. What's pretty cool is that you activate a cutscene after rescuing your friends, and it's depending on who you save them with. But once you complete all 3 levels in the era, you have to complete a challenge to go face off against the boss. While some aren't fond of the idea of doing challenges to progress, it's definitely better than collecting Sun and Moon medals to progress though. And I have to repeat this so I don't sound like I'm flip-flopping between each side. I know I said I didn't mind medal collecting in Unleash, but I'm just saying this just for the people who do have a problem with it. Anyway, I like the challenges, and while I don't like some of them, they're all optional. I personally like this mission with Rouge and the race you do with Tails, even though it is pretty easy. You do these to unlock a boss, which are also taken from Sonic's past, like the Death Egg Robot, Perfect Chaos, and the Egg Dragoon. The Death Egg Robot is my least favorite one out of the 3. I mean, it's just so easy, which is weird because the original boss is one of the hardest in the entire series. That tense feeling you had with just one reckless move, you're done, is completely gone with this battle. I mean, the boss on its own is alright, but I just wasn't really feeling it with this. Perfect Chaos is 10 times better than the fight in Unleash. Perfect Chaos is 10 times better than the fight in Adventure 1. And I like the fight in that game too, but the skill and that song doesn't even need the Chaos Emeralds anymore to win. This makes it even better for me. But it shows how much Sonic has grown since 1999. The Egg Dragoon boss fight is okay, but something's just missing from the boss fight from Unleash though. Plus the boss can drag on longer than these two, so yeah. You also have the option to do a rival battle, which again is another fight from Sonic's past. First up is Metal Sonic from Sonic CD, which is alright, but I used to love this cutscene when I played the game for the first time. Falcon Kick! Next up is Shadow from Adventure 2, which is way better than the one in that game. Instead of just running away from him, hoping that you hit him, you race to get this purple aura, which allows you to do some abilities. Don't let Shadow get it first, or else he'll activate his Chaos Spears. Now we have Silver from Sonic 06. This fight is 1,000 times better than the one in 06. I mean, canonically, this fight doesn't really make sense, but I'll let it slide this time. After defeating the rival battles, you collect the Chaos Emerald, which we'll need to access the final boss, the Time Beater. This boss, in my opinion, is the worst final boss in this series. All you're doing is just boosting, hoping that you hit it. You have to switch a classic Sonic to dodge attacks or something. And sometimes when you think you're about to get close to him and the homing radical shows up, you just, hey, get back here! And just take a shot every time your friends say,
Swing a homing shot!
or,
Look out, Sonic!
by the time you're done, you'll think you'll be outside in your boxers and get your Kingdom Hearts character. Anyway, after repeat the time, either you unlock Super Sonic in normal levels, but this just kind of feels underwhelming. I don't know why, but modern games feel so underwhelming when it comes to Super Sonic if we're in normal levels. I just already had my fun with the game. Classic Super Sonic pretty much controls like in the older games, and modern Super Sonic just blazes through the stages at the cost of 2 rings. I'm just not really feeling it with this game. And that goes for Colors and Forces too. Although I find it kinda odd how you can only use Super Sonic to equip it on a skill set. Like, why can't I just press the X button twice, or use the triangle button, or any of the other buttons that aren't used? Anyway, one last thing I want to talk about is that there's a mode where you can compete with your friends to see who can complete a level in the fastest time, but both of you need to own a copy of the game. The graphics are amazing. While they're not as good as Unleashed, but still stands as the best looking Sonic game over 13 years later. Generations is just as good, and mostly because Generations doesn't drop its frames at certain levels. Okay, I promise that's the last comparison, I'll make the Unleashed. I'm sure you Unleashed fans are getting tired of that by now. Anyway, the textures look really clean. The character models will pop out from the backgrounds, but at the same time they don't blend in too much with the backgrounds. Even the white world, which is pretty lifeless, still looks pretty good. It's also pretty good to have the Steam version of the game run on silky smooth 60 FPS with no slowdown whatsoever. And some levels really benefit in being in HD, like Chemical Plant or Speed Highway. I have heard that the cutscenes can get a little bit pixelated on the Xbox 360 version. I played this game on the PS3 and PC for this video, so that never really happened for me. Overall, the game looks beautiful, and I always know that Sega will always impress with graphics. And now the soundtrack is great, but it's completely unoriginal. A lot of the songs are just from an older game or just a remix of it. And while it's great hearing some of these older songs get remixed, it would have been cool for this game to have its own original theme, but overall, the soundtrack is great to listen to, but it would have been cool to hear some original songs though. So overall, I had fun coming back to this game for this video. I mean, yeah, the game isn't perfect, but let's be real, not every game you're gonna play is gonna be perfect. So great gameplay, amazing graphics, and a fantastic soundtrack. I think this game is a game that all Sonic fans can enjoy, and if you're just getting into the series, I think this may be a great starting point. Yeah, I know the story isn't that special, but if the game is fun from start to end, then I don't really care. If I wanted something that was story driven, then I would just go watch a movie or read a book. And while this would start to trend as classic Sonic being shoved into everything, in the end, this game is still pretty good. When I read the older review 2 years ago, this was my favorite 3D Sonic game, and now, yeah, that opinion still stands. I don't think any other 3D Sonic game comes close, but I do hope that Sonic Rangers will trump that once it comes out. But I probably jinxed it just by saying that. It's only a matter of time before people start calling this game overrated. Anyway, I definitely recommend you play this game. It's just great fun from start to end, but if I had to recommend a version of this game, it would be the PC version, and I think you all know why. The modding community for this game is massive. There's multiple mods for this game, just like implementing Water Palace from Sonic Rush, or the Emerald Coast from Sonic Adventure 1. Character mods like Shadow, Amy, the Werehog. Hell, they even modded Professor Pickle in this game. There's even an entire mod that takes all the daytime stages from Sonic Unleashed and implements it here, so you can enjoy all the stages you loved in Unleashed in 60 FPS and with the more smoother controls of Generations. There's even one mod called STH 2006, which makes Sonic 06 the game that was meant to be if Sega put more time into it. It's great seeing what fans all around the world can create with this game, and it's also one of the main reasons why I love this community, which a lot of you might find crazy, but that's for another video. Anyway, it feels great to finally give this review a nice upgrade. I don't know what other review I'll remake next, but I feel like I do a better job now, but I digress. And then with all that out of the way, I just want to thank you guys for 400 subscribers. It's taken me a while, but we're getting really close to getting halfway to 1,000 subs. And it would be pretty cool to end this year off with 600 subscribers. But I just want to thank you all for that. So anyway, all my social media links are in the description below. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.